Hi, this is John from John Paul Music UK, and in this video we're going to look at the differences between the Boss RC-30 and the Boss RC300. Hello to you all, and if you are new to this channel and you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button, give the bell a good whack, and it'll let you know when there is a new video out. All of the information for this video is in the description below. So Boss sell many different pedals and they have a looper range, starting with the RC1 and going right through to the RC505, which is a tabletop looper. Today we're going to be looking at the differences between the RC30 and the RC300. The 300 is its flagship pedal board. So what is a looper? I do have another video about what is looping. I'm going to put that in the cards right now. But essentially a looper is a recording and playback device which give you a couple of nice features. First of all, being able to record instantly at the touch of a button or a pedal. Then being able to continuously loop that recording and store it. And also add an infinite number of recordings over the top, which are called overdubs. So first of all, some similarities. The RC30 and the RC300 are both floor-based loopers or pedal loopers. They both give 3 hours of recording time for looping and have 99 memory presets. They both give you unlimited overdubs with no loss of audio quality. They give you a true stereo in and output from both devices, and very importantly, they give you an undo and a redo function. So first off, the RC30. The RC30 has some nice tricks up its sleeve. We still have all the features of the RC3, which is Boss's single pedal looper. It has a stereo in and out via a 1/4 inch jack. It has a USB, it has a rhythm track. It has the same 3-hour record time with 99 memories. But the main difference is it's a twin pedal with dual stereo loops with independent faders for each loop. The RC30 also has a dedicated XLR input with phantom power option if you need it, as well as the stereo input via jack. It also has a few loop effects for live performance. This is one of the most popular loopers that I know, mainly because as well as running on the mains, you can run it on 6 AA batteries. Most people who dip their toe into looping buy this one. Next, we're going to talk about the RC300. I'm not going to pick it up. It's big, and I mean that literally. Boss's flagship pedal looper has all the features of the RC30, but has 3 synchronized stereo loops. It's like having 3 RC30s next door to each other, but are linked together. It has lots of different features, so it has independent faders for each loop. It has an expression pedal at the end, which is assignable. It has multiple outputs and the availability to assign different things to those outputs. We have MIDI in, MIDI out, USB, and also we've got a load of more effects as well. A big feature of the RC300 is the loop sync tempo sync feature, which dictates how the loops behave. You have control assigned. For example, you could change what the expression pedal does. For me, my expression pedal is the master volume for just the loops. So I can adjust the volume of the loops in general while I'm on a live gig. Maybe the loops are too loud, I need to bring them down above the main volume of the microphone or the guitar. The other thing I like to do is I like to actually hit it for a second just to stop the sound of the loop while the loop is still going, so you can create a little bit of a gap before you bring it back in for, say, a chorus or a breakdown. One other button that I use quite a lot on the RC300 is stop all, start all. This way I can stop the loops completely and bring them all back in one go without having to hit each individual one at the same time. The main mode the RC300 works in is a sync mode, where track 1, track 2, track 3 all play together. You can also have it in a single track mode, so you could have track 1 as the verse, track 2 as the chorus, and track 3 as a bridge. This is very useful in a setup where you need to play around with different chord structures. The RC300 can also double up as an audio interface, which is really useful if you want to record yourself, plugging yourself into a digital audio workstation, and you can also offload or upload loops to it via a Mac or a PC. The strange thing about the RC300 is even though it's so in depth, you can go really into the editing. It doesn't take that long for you to actually start looping. You can be looping in minutes and it's quite easily set out. I think this is the advantage of the Boss looper pedals. Their looping setup, the basics of how you loop, is pretty much the same against the whole range. So I wanted to go over some of the differences between the RC30 and the RC300, but the one thing I wanted to go over with the RC30 is the second loop. So the second loop, what you've got is you've got a button here you've got 2 buttons, independent volume controls and the selector, and that's fine. So you can bend down and press that button while it's on the floor, or what you can do is you can hold this down for 2 seconds and it will change from one to the other. Now, 2 seconds doesn't sound like a long time, but when you're looping live and you've got a beat going and you've got an audience in front of you, sometimes it feels like an eternity. You can get an additional foot switch and plug it in here, like something like the Boss FS5 or the FS7, and what that can do is it can actually do that job for you. The only downside of that, of course, is you're making your loop pedal bigger. So we just want to talk about the loop effects that come with the RC30. You've got bend down, step phaser, sweep filter, tempo delay, and lo-fi, and you've got an on and an off for it. They are loop effects, so they're not actually affecting the input of the mic or whatever you've got plugged in here, they're affecting the loop. I don't want it to affect the loop. What I want it to do is affect the inputs. That's just my personal preference. So if I'm singing, I might want to actually have it an octave down, like a bass, or I might want to have something basically like a different kind of effect. So for me, they're not useful in a live environment. They're a bit of fun to begin with, but in a live gigging environment, I tend not to use these. Let's talk about the RC300. It's big. And I mean, it's big. It's basically the size almost of 4 of the RC30s when you include the expression pedal on the end. Also, the RC30 can run on batteries. The RC300 is mains only. So if you do want to use it out in the world, like busking, for example, you would have to find an alternative power source. And then there's the setup. So for the RC300, it took me a long time to get my head around it, and it's one of these things where you can just get it out of the box and start looping. But I wanted to use it in a live environment for gigs, so I want to set it up in a certain way. There's a menu for pretty much every button you can press, so there's a lot of menus inside menus, and you've only got that small display to show you around. So I do reference the manual quite a lot because there are global settings, there's routing settings, there's settings for each track, there's settings for each looper, there's each button press is a setting, so the list does go on. Now, while some people might just want to press a button and do a little bit of looping, the RC300 might be quite daunting. However, this con is actually its biggest plus. You can personalize the RC300 pretty much any way you want. So it doesn't just personalize globally, you can do that, but you can also personalize it per memory. So memory number 1 could be actually in serial mode or play all mode, or you could actually have it in free mode. Your first memory bank, you could have it down as that you want all 3 pedals to be synchronized, whereas memory 2, you want it in play all mode, like a synchronized, but also like a verse, bridge, and chorus mode. You could have the expression pedal changed for one but not the other. You can actually route it for the mains to go out for just the vocal and the guitar, but then you could have the subs for just the loops. So this actually plays to its strengths. You can use the whole 99 memory slots. You've got 3 hours recording time, of course, but you can actually then utilize that depending on what you're doing. You could have one loop that you're setting up and that's it, and you only use track 1 live, you just set it up live every time, or you could have an entire show that's spanned across the 99 memory slots. How I tend to use my RC300 is in a synchronized mode, so I'd have track 1 as either beatboxing or some kind of rhythm. Track 2, I'm trying to remember to put like the bass on there and any kind of simple chords, and then track 3 I reserve for harmonies or any other stuff that I do. But the beauty of it is the choice is yours. You could change it to whatever you wanted it to be. So the loop effects on the RC300, there are some more and they are a little bit better. The good thing about this is it does have a target mode, so you can actually affect the input as well as the output. I still am not a fan of them. That's just me personally. I need harmony effects as well as guitar effects. So I use a different effects pedal which plugs into the RC300. If you want to see that video and how I set myself up, I have that video. I'm going to put that in the cards right now. The display on the RC300 is almost like a 2 display. So the first display is like the RC30, it's telling you which memory bank you're on. The second is a 2x16 LCD, and it tells you the memory of the loop, it tells you the volume of each loop, which is quite useful. It also has the name of the memory which you can edit. However, getting into editing for the RC300, you have to remember what path you're going down. There are menus, inside menus, inside menus, there are side menus as well, and it would be better if it had a bigger display. It was good at the time of release, but in 2019, it certainly does feel a little bit dated. Okay, so I've just whipped both of them for some cons, and it does sound like I don't like either of them, but I do. I actually like both of them. So I do have the RC30 and the RC300, and I use them in different ways. Personally, I've been looping for over 12 years. I started with the Akai Headrush E2. I've had Boss pedals, I've had Ditto pedals, I've had TC Helicon pedals, I've had the Boomerang, I've had MIDI controllers connected to an iOS device with the app Loopy HD. If you want to see me using Loopy HD, I've got another video for that as well. I'll put that in the cards. I've used loopers, both hardware and software, and I need to use them in a live environment in front of a live audience. So some people use them in studio environments, and that's absolutely fine, but I need to make sure it works solidly in a live environment. The RC30 is Boss's most popular looper because of its price point, and also I know many singer-songwriters who've got it in their gig bag and they're very happy with it. So with the RC30, I'll use it for busking. It's small, it's compact, it's battery powered, which is really useful, and of course you've got a dedicated XLR as well as the jack input, so I can put that straight into my gig bag and go busking and use a little bit of looping. So for my bigger and main gigs, I use the RC300. The RC300 has got way more flexibility. It is built like a tank, and it has taken some beatings over the years. It is big and it is a bit dated, but I think it's got a lot of flexibility. Once you get into editing the RC300, and you do have to spend a bit of time doing that and editing that, the great thing is you can set it up how you like. Now I still have to reference the manual even today when I've forgotten the pathway of where I need to be, but if you can pre-set that up before you've got your gig, it's really, really good. Now there are effects on both the RC30 and the RC300. I personally don't use them for my shows. I use a TC Helicon Voice Live Play acoustic because it offers me harmonies as well as guitar effects, and that goes from there out into the RC300. I'd like to give a shout out to the Boss RC300 community group on Facebook. They're a fantastic group of people and they've got a wealth of knowledge between them. They either just want to help you out or just want to showcase how they're using their RC300. So guys, thank you very much for a little bit of help and also a little bit of sharing as well. So that's my setup and comparison between the RC30 and the RC300 and how I use them in different scenarios. But I want to know about you guys. Do you use an RC30 or an RC300? Do you use it live? Do you use it in a studio? Do you use a different kind of looper? Do you use anything with that looper? Please let me know in the comments section below. So if you do like the content in this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. And if you have been watching some of my videos, please consider subscribing and we'll show you when the next video goes live once you hit that bell. Thank you very much for watching.